I'm still a ways away from quitting 9-to-5 life, but that doesn't mean I'm not working towards it. Welcome back to First Gen Money, a YouTube channel for all things money and lifestyle from a first gen millennial's perspective. If you're interested in getting right with your money, working towards financial independence, or trying to understand the money mindset that you carry and how that impacts your current money decisions, and you'll want to hit that subscribe button so you can get notified every time I release a new video. Now, for today's video, we're going to be talking about my journey so far towards financial independence. What have I done since I discovered the FIRE movement? Last week, I gave you kind of a rundown of what is FIRE, how to calculate how much you need to retire. So I'm gonna link that up here for you to watch if you haven't already. So I wanna share my journey so far in reaching financial independence. Before I do though, I wanna remind you that I'm offering 90-minute money clarity sessions if you wanna work one-on-one with me. These are sessions that you can tell me exactly what you want to focus on. We can create a game plan for your money. We can also help you understand how to get started with investing. So if you're interested in that, I will leave the information in the description so we can get connected. Jumping into my journey so far, it really starts in 2017. I always talk about how my money journey started in 2017, and the truth is, so did my FIRE journey. It is the same year that I came across financial independence, retire early as a concept. To bring it back, in 2017, I had been working full-time for a full year. I had been out of school for 2 years at that point, and I had a crazy commute into the city every workday. It was about an hour and a half plus, and I had nothing else but listen to podcasts to do. I couldn't read books because I would get dizzy all the time on the bus. So I resorted to listening to personal finance podcasts. And the first one that I really fell in love with was So Money by Farnoosh Torabi. I also found the Choose FI podcast. And this one was a little bit more of like okay, I need to think about what they're telling me because these are new concepts for me. This is like all new stuff. I don't really get some of the things that they're saying, and I still continue to listen because even though like I knew there was some gap in like what they were telling me, I was like, I need to learn this. I want to learn this. Through just like the podcast that I was listening to, I also came across Jamila Soufran's Journey to Launch, and that one was more relatable because she was a woman of color, she's a Black woman, and I was like, okay, she's talking about these concepts, like it just felt more relatable through her. And those were my like 3 main podcasts, money podcasts. I obviously started listening to more and more, but in 2017, I decided it was the year to get right with my money. And so it was May actually of the year, and I started tracking every single dollar and diverting every single paycheck towards paying off my student loans. I was like, nothing matters but these loans and getting them paid off. Started tracking my money. I'm gonna just share a photo of what that tracker looked like in 2017. And just like the first like 2 weeks of me having that tracker was my sister's wedding. I had to get my laptop fixed. I was coming across a lot of expenses, but you can see through the tracker that I was also making big payments towards my loans. And it was that year that kind of set the mood for 2018, because in 2017, I was learning about investing. I was starting to hear these terms like Roth IRA. Okay, I need to possibly have a Roth IRA. When it came time to me moving on to a new position, which I did in October of 2017 at a new company, one of the questions I asked was like, do you have a 401k? And this wasn't gonna be something I asked if I hadn't come across the money podcast that I did. And so 2017 was really the year of discovery. Here I decided I wanted to pay off my student loan debt. 2018 rolls around, I'm still in this new position. I am working towards paying off my student loans. 2017, 2018, I'm still living at home with my parents, still commuting into the city. I have no plans of like moving out just yet, early 2018. And then I finally decide to open a Roth IRA because my company did not offer a 401k, even though I was advocating for one. We still had not yet had one available for employees. So I decided it was time to open my Roth IRA. I had already heard about how I should be investing in my retirement accounts because they're tax advantaged. So I decided, okay, I'm opening this Roth. And I did. and I was contributing what I could. At the time, I'm sure it was about $200 a month. It wasn't anything big because, again, my goal was like, get this debt paid off, get this debt paid off. And that's really what I was striving towards. By the time like spring and early summer rolls around, I start noticing that a few of my colleagues are leaving the company, are getting fired. And I'm like, oh, I guess I never thought people got fired. I don't know. I mean, I knew because in my last job, a lot of people, like, it happened a lot. But I guess the turnover really kind of woke me up and said, I need to make sure that I have money in the bank if shit hits the fan. I had been up until that point living paycheck to paycheck because I wanted to throw every paycheck into paying off my debt. But then I took a pause and said, okay, we need to save $10,000 for an emergency fund. And $10,000 was just, it was a number I came out of like thin air. There was no reasoning behind that, but I was like, $10,000 I need to have in my emergency fund. I can no longer just be like waiting for the next paycheck and just like living to pay off my debt. I need to have something saved. I need to have a buffer. In June, I made a plan to get to 10K. By the time fall came around, now I was starting to have conversations with my partner about moving into our own place, about getting our own apartment in the city so we can stop commuting, because he had started working and was looking actively this whole time for a full-time job. That became a priority in the fall. I was like, okay, I need to save enough to be able to move out of the house. And the 10K emergency fund is for that, is for an emergency. It is not my moving out fund. During this time, I had now dropped the massive contributions I was adding towards my student loans and just started continuing to pay them off, but now I was prioritizing other goals that I had. So I prioritized the emergency fund, which I reached the 10K in November of that year. And then I was prioritizing moving out and what I needed to have my own apartment in the city. By this time, I wasn't maxing out my Roth IRA, but I had been contributing to it, and now I was starting to invest. I started with a robo-advisor, but then by the end of the year, I had switched over to Vanguard because, again, I was listening to the podcast and I felt like I can manage my money. I can manage these investments. Let me just do it myself. 2018 was the year of, let's make sure we have our cash at hand in case there's any emergency. 2019 rolls around. Ari and I are looking for apartments now. We've, decided that we're moving out early this year. It's gonna happen. And so we're looking at apartments. We decide that our budget is no more than $2,000 a month. We were having no luck within our price range, and then we came across this listing in Brooklyn, and it was a little bit over what we had budgeted and what we wanted, but it looked perfect. So we went to go see it and we fell in love. It was love at first sight. And of course, forget what we had budgeted for. We wanted this apartment. And so we decided that night we were gonna put in a request to apply for that apartment, and we got it. We got the apartment. It had a rooftop. It had like all of the amenities that we wanted. That was easy for us. A laundry in the building to get us. It felt like our first step out of the house, because it felt like a dorm and something we had done already. So it was like, okay, this is a good adjustment. We move into our new place in April, the first weekend of April of 2019, and we start our journey living together. Up until this point and throughout the rest of the year for 2019, I had been continuing to invest in my Roth IRA, now through Vanguard. And I decided this was the year I was gonna max it out. That was a financial goal that year. I'm gonna max out my Roth IRA, and that meant adding, I think at that point it was like $5,500. So it was about less than $500 each month that I was contributing to this Roth IRA. But I continued to just automatically do it without even thinking about every month going in there and doing it myself. 2019, moving out and being in Brooklyn and wanting to experience the restaurants and all of that, it was becoming a lot of money and expenses. And I was still able to save for goals. I was still able to invest, but I was like, I know I need to take it to the next level in my financial journey, but it is challenging to do that when your rent is over $1,000 every month. But it was also this year, and this happened around July of 2019, that I decided it was time for me to ask for a salary adjustment raise at work. So I had gotten one in 2018. So in 2018, in October of 2018, I got a raise to 60K from 52. And in July, I got a nice bump less than a year after I had gotten a raise that helped me continue to save towards goals that I had that year. And it really is, when you think about your journey to financial independence, you can only cut so much. It really is also how you're gonna make more money. How do you earn more so you can just widen that gap of what you make and what you spend to increase how much you can save. 2019 was the year of getting what you deserve, both with my apartment and with my raise. Now we're entering 2020. Oh boy, 2020. Entered the year, I was like, and at the end of 2019, we had learned that our company was now offering a 401k. So 2020, I was like, yes, contributing to my 401k, continue to max out my Roth IRA. We're gonna do all the investing stuff. We decided to renew our lease. We decided to renew it in February of 2020. And in March, the world just came to a stop. At least New York City came to a stop. Moving over closer to the summer, we're realizing, oh my God, my mental health is taking a hit. I saw my family for the first time in May. We did an outside like Mother's Day drive-by, to see my sister, my parents, my mom, and Ari's mom. And I just felt like I was missing being close to my family and being in Brooklyn. It's still like not that far, but it just felt like I couldn't see my family, but also I wasn't going on walks, and I couldn't go on walks because the sidewalks were crowded and it just felt different. And so around that time, we started having conversations about what if we moved back in with Ari's mom, and we're living in the basement, and that way we can be close to my family and have the nature aspect, but also be closer to certain friends who we have around here in the suburbs. And so in June, we made the decision to move. We had to break our lease, and if you haven't watched that video, I'm gonna link it up here. It's one of my most watched videos of how to break your lease, because we had just signed a new lease earlier that year, and we weren't even like 5 months into it when we decided it's time to not have this anymore. And so we broke the lease. Our landlords and the management company, they were first like ghosting us, but then finally like gave in to us not being there anymore, and we moved out. We moved out in, I forget exactly when, but it was like mid-June. We moved out and we moved into the basement, and we've been living here since. So when we moved into the basement, I said, okay, no longer have that expensive apartment. Now I'm going to pivot everything into my 401k. I'm going to up my contribution. So in February, when I got access to the 401k, I was contributing $400 per paycheck. When we moved in and I adjusted to the new situation, I upped that contribution to $600. And then finally in December, I upped it to $812, which is what it's at right now, to max it out for 2021. But 2020 was the year I started thinking about First Gen Money as a business. I said YouTube channel, and then in the summer, I decided to do coaching. I decided to coach women one-on-one, and I took on 2 coaching clients. Around this time, I was also coming across the slow fi movement, which Jess from the Pioneers writes about a lot and pretty much coined that term, which is a slow path to financial independence. It's not the hustle and grind for 8 years and don't enjoy things so you can like retire as soon as possible. It's more of like a create the life that you want to lead. And so I started to come across that and I was like, this resonates with me so much because I'm not a go, 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 go. I need my time off. I need to spend time with my family. I'm big on that. So that resonated with me, and I continued to kind of think about my financial independence journey as like a slow journey to it. And then in November, I decided to enroll in a CFP course. I had the intention of becoming certified. I had to pay about $2,500 because in order to get the remaining amount of my scholarship, I needed to prove that I was enrolled and had completed 4 of the courses of the required CFP certification. And so I knew that that money would be reimbursed. And so I continued on with my coursework, and I started in November. December was good. That first module was great. I was like, I love this. And then enter 2021. 2021, I'm making more strict money goals. I have a goal of maxing out my Roth IRA, continuing to max out my Roth IRA in order to really take advantage of my tax advantage accounts. So that's my journey. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking it, subscribing to my YouTube channel so you can get notified every time I put out a new video. And again, if you want to work one-on-one, you can find the link in the description below. I will see you in my next video. Bye.